Uh, Let me get my agenda first. Introduction myself. I'm a chair of the ward committee and welcome all of you to the meeting. Notice of recording the meeting chair to advise that the virtual meeting, online meeting is being held in public and recording will be available for public future records. Coronavirus virus update, public health update, Ibrahim Subdurally. Can I say some? We have a apology from near Descosta and Councillor Kuhner. So please, who's making a note, make a note of it.
Councillor Atwal, we also have apologies from Nina Hire, Ann Wackett and John Amara, the residents.
Okay, thank you. Please make a note.
Will do.
Can I invite Ibrahim, please, to make a coronavirus update?
Thank you, Councillor Atwal. Can you all hear me? Perfect,
Yes,
thank you.
Yeah.
Right, so my name is Ibrahim Subdurally. I'm one of the Public Health Service Lead at Birmingham City Council, working in the Health Protection Response Team. So we're the team who responds to COVID outbreaks within, workplaces, schools, etc. So I'll give a brief overview of the situation in Birmingham and in Handsworth Wood as it is. So just the headlines. So we have seen an overall drop in case rates in Handsworth Wood, and that is consistent across Birmingham. Between the month July and September, there was a 36% fall in case rate in Handsworth Wood, and that is similar to the city, who's also seen a drop of 36.5%, so sort of on the similar line. In the 7 days up to the 3rd of September, there were 3,023 cases, so just over 3,000 cases across Birmingham, and that sounds about a case rate of about around 264.8 per 100,000 people, and that is a reduction of 11.3% compared to the previous week. Now, in terms of Handsworth Wood, where you are at the moment, during the same period, 68 cases were reported. And that is a case rate of 329.9 per 100,000 people. So it's a bit higher than the rate for the wider city. Handsworth Wood ranks at 25th out of 69 wards in Birmingham. The first one having the highest rate of 446.43, and the 69th one with the lowest rate of 113.83. Now, Birmingham is ranked 165 in the UK out of the 214 upper tier local authorities. In Handsworth Wood, cases were highest in the 20 to 39 age group with 37%. That's slightly lower than that of the wider city. This was followed by by the age group 40 to 59 at 26%, and that's slightly higher than the wider city. And this was followed by the age group 0 to 19 at 25%. However, this was similar to sort of the wider city. As for the age groups 60 to 69 and 80 plus, the percentage is the lowest at 8% for the age group 60 to 79 and 2% for the age group 80 plus. And this is the same for the wider city. The white ethnic group accounted for most cases in Birmingham at 52%, followed by the Asian ethnic group at 19%. And this has now been the trend for a few weeks. For Handsworth Wood, however, the Asian ethnic group accounted for most cases at 48%, followed by the black ethnic group at 19%. White ethnic group at 10%, and the remainder mixed other and those who haven't declared the ethnic group at Tess. As of 6th of September, there were 16 COVID champions in Handsworth Wood, and we are very grateful for these people because they're volunteering their time really to try and make positive COVID outcomes for the communities. People can still register, as I'm sure you all know. We share a great deal of information. You can view our newsletters, emails, social media, and we hold 2 fortnightly meetings where we sort of answer questions and we empower people with information to do so. I think this is very important at the moment as we're approaching the winter months. Naturally, as I've said before, case rates have come down in the summer months, and it's as I say, it's natural. It's warm. We are outside. We mix more. We mix outside more. The windows open, so it's well ventilated. So naturally, the rates have come down. But as we approach the winter month, we will be mixing indoors more. Rooms may not be as ventilated, so COVID rates will increase. So it's important to have people within communities to represent them, spread COVID correct and true COVID messages. It's also important to take up the offer of the vaccine if people haven't done so yet. If we have those people, if you know of those people, and if they have any queries or concerns, please direct them to speak to the GPs and or trusted health professionals. This is also why we have the booster program for the most elderly and vulnerable, as the immune system is not as strong, and we want to give them that little top up. The vaccine is efficient in stopping you getting very sick, ending up in hospital. It's not perfect in stopping one catching the disease, we know that, but it does reduce the amount of spreading it to others, and it does also seem to be reducing long COVID. I think if you know anybody who's had long COVID, you would know it's not pleasant. There is a great deal of work that our comms and engagement team are doing regarding the vaccine. COVID has not changed and still putting people in hospital. So what we're trying to do is try to make sure that hospital beds are not blocked for those that needs other treatment because there's a COVID patient in them. Yes, we are in step 4, as you know, but this means is we now take individual responsibility in protecting ourselves and others. There's no fine, if you don't wear your mask or anything, but it's about us taking that responsibility. Thank you, Councillor. That's all from myself.
Thank you. Can I, Ibrahim, ask you which ward is the toughest, like with a high rate in Birmingham?
Sure. Bear with me. Let me just. So the highest is Sutton Mere Green.
Pardon?
Sutton Mere Green, and the lowest is Bournebrook and Selly Park.
Okay. Mayor Green is the highest one, or the lowest?
Sutton Mere Green is the highest one with, let me just check my data, with 446.43 per 100,000.
Ibrahim, is it possible? I did ask last time as well, probably you or somebody else. If possible, can we have this whole breakdown ward by ward, and with the bilingual? A reason to ask, I can volunteer myself, not just my ward. In my ward, it's my responsibility, but I can do it as a volunteer in some, the places, public places such as worship.
Yes.
So in all Gurdwara, approximately it's 19 to 20 Gurdwaras in Birmingham city boundary. And I can provide this information to them and ask them, take action on it and speak to the local congregation and for the notice board as well to make sure the people must, they meet the guideline from the council or the government. I tell you the reason. So many people are, especially, the elderly or they are unemployed. And I seen on the bus stops and there they travel in the trains and the buses go to the places, not only in a Gurdwara, they go to mosque or some other as well, Some people, because they've fed up, at a home and they just go catch a bus and the train go around there and then in the evening come back. And we like to make them, my personally view, and I keep speaking on my social media as well, and the television, stay home. I'm not saying just lock up inside. You can go to the local park or local open space, and there, rather than you get together into the trains and to the buses, and that causing a bit of problem. We have to bring it down. So please, if you could find the data word by word, and especially requesting for Handsworth Wood, and we like to see some bilingual, the leaflets, which is the Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu, and Bengali. Mostly, the even the Polish, if possible, because we have quite a bit community in our board, and it's that visible community. I know there is a lot of more language. We can't put everything, but at least if we can do it, and I can volunteer myself, as I said, I can take it into the television and the radio and in the public places. So we like to be work hard, to bring it down. And if anybody have any other question, please ask.
I think, and before I take the next question, I think John has a question. Just thank you for that, Councillor Atwal. I've made a note of that. I think we did have, I think the idea was at some point to do that. I think that one of the main reasons why, because when you print something out with some data, and we know COVID, tomorrow the data is completely different than it was yesterday. I think, but what I will do, however, I will pass this on to the team dealing with the COVID data, and see, because we have been doing, and we are looking for suggestions in terms of multilingual communications that we send out. So I will be passing on to that team. Thank you for that. Thanks.
Okay, if possible, before I bring the John in, if possible, call me please tomorrow or Friday, 2 days, after the meeting. I'm very busy with the family, but then we will, rather than discussing here, taking the time, I can tell you, how I could help and how I can get some other, the team, like young people, like, they can voluntarily, they can work through our network. I have a network with the elderly people, middle-aged, and the young people, and so we can send it through to the social media, WhatsApp, to just a campaign which we can do it if we have a bilingual, the leaflet, so that can be spread all over.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you
John,
so much, Councillor.
John, please.
Yes.
John Farrell.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had both the vaccinations, and I'm self-shielding. I'm coming up to 80. I'm concerned about the situation. However, I've been offered, I understand, a booster jab in the autumn. And given the debate going on at the moment about places across the globe that are not getting vaccinations, I would prefer that vaccination to go elsewhere. Now, I don't know how many other people feel like that, but I feel passionately that I don't know quite how to actually translate that, but going to the city, how many other people feel like this, to say to the government two things: get the vaccines, excess vaccines we've got, distributed, and secondly, stop this business of stopping other nations being able to manufacture the vaccine. So that, because while other people, other countries, as we've seen from India, are exposed, so are we. So, what's the best way of stopping this?
Thank you, John. Yes, indeed. I will take that on board, and I will send that to the right department who deals with sort of vaccination side of things. And you're quite right. We are as strong as our weakest member, and I think that's the reason perhaps behind the booster program is, as I said earlier, winter is going to be quite difficult. Especially we might have other variants from countries that are not vaccinated as UK is. So thank you for that, and I will take that forward to that team.
Thank you, Ibrahim.
Thanks.
Ibrahim, the question before I bring somebody else in. Thank you. Welcome to Jan Kimber. Lately, recently, I heard something. Somebody came, from India. As John said, it's a dignitary, the highest post in India, in Punjab. That person came, he had a 2 vaccinated injection. When he came to Heathrow Airport, he been asked, we don't, recognize these. So he been asked the SOLA to recheck it. is this is the case for everybody or just a random? Or if this is the case, then because lot of people, they went away to, the Asian country like Pakistan, Bangladesh or India, and are having a majority inquiry, from the Punjabi community, either the Hindu or the Sikh, no matter, not Handsworth Wood Ward, it's all over in UK. And I keep suggesting them, stay here, don't go away for holiday. I know the marriage or some other thing, they want to go, even they're fed up sitting at home. Is any policy a city to have, which is we can, the circulated to a community, especially in Birmingham, or more especially in Handsworth, where I'm responsible?
Thank you, Councillor. So there are many vaccines available, but there are only 4 of them that are recognised in the UK. We have, of course, the 3 ones that we use: the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna, and the Janssen. The rest are not recognised in the UK. So if individuals come here from other countries, their vaccines will not be recognised, and then for the UK, recognise them, sees them as unvaccinated. But I think, yeah, I'm more than happy to share the guidance later on if you want.
Excuse me, my rest of guests. I heard it. I had a MAT2 injection, which is the Oxford, but I heard the Pfizer is better than Oxford. Is that true?
Unfortunately, I'm not medically trained to answer that. I don't think. I think vaccines. There are different vaccines. That's the reason we have different vaccines. Just a bit like for sometimes if you have an infection and you take antibiotics, you don't get the same antibiotics that work differently on different people. So I think that the same way is for the vaccine. I think that's the reason some vaccines are advised for a certain age group, some are not for that age group. So it's not really a matter of one being better than the other. It's having one that works on that particular person within those factors of that person works better than the other, rather than the vaccine itself. So I hope that answers it to some extent.
Okay, I know, but not really. Never mind. But lastly, as John said, even offer for the booster. The people talk about the booster, and they do ask if we have it to, the injection to vaccine. Why do we need the booster? Will they be better off or not? If that's going to be better off, it means the last 2 vaccines they have, they wasn't good. Is that true, or how can you explain, and what answer we can give it to the public?
Yeah, I think trials are still ongoing. So we still, vaccines are fairly new. COVID is fairly new. There are still trials there to understand how long the protection of the vaccine lasts. And we are seeing for some vaccines, the protection lasts longer than a year. Like most vaccines, you do your yearly jab, your boosters, etc. So with the COVID vaccine, the trials going on, especially for the Pfizer, just because the Pfizer came before the AstraZeneca, so there's still trials being done for AstraZeneca, that the protection lasts longer than a year. That is why we're not offering the booster to everybody. The booster is only being offered after sort of you're approaching, for the most elderly, most vulnerable, when they're approaching sort of the 12-month period since they've had the first one. So yes, it's not that it's not efficient or effective. It's a matter of it's running its course at some point, but we are seeing that it's more, it protects you for a longer period, potentially more than a year.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Okay.
Thank you.
Did anybody else have any question, Ibrahim, please?
There is one question. There is one question in the chat, Councillor Atwal. Would you like me to read it out?
Please.
Okay. So this is from Susan. At second vaccine, I was advised, in accordance with existing health conditions, to pre-take paracetamol with positive benefits. Hopefully COVID champions are now also encouraging folk to ask the GP about this at the vaccination sites. Is this the same advice for the booster programme? So I think she's asking me if you take the paracetamol before you have your booster.
Thank you, Susan. So, like many vaccines, as we know, you might have some side effect. I think we all have. We've had sore arm, or some people have had sort of feeling a bit ill for a day or two, and it's quite natural. I think taking the paracetamol, as you know, it just sort of reduces, or at least makes it better. That you don't have that much or side effect as without it. But I agree. I think perhaps I will feed that back to the COVID champions, so the constant engagement team with the COVID, the test and trace team in Birmingham, that this is added. Currently, there's no advice as such. It's a one-to-one case basis. To take paracetamol. Some people are known to have taken antihistamine, for example, before and after vaccine, just so they don't have any side effect. But there's no concrete advice for it. But I will feed that back to the constant engagement team and see if this is something they're considering for the booster program as well. That is.
I hope somebody is noting what Ibrahim is saying, the question and answer, and we like to get these all on a record for the future understanding. Is anybody else have any other question, please?
I can't see any other questions have come in, Councillor Atwal.
Pardon?
I can't see any other questions that have come in. Read that item. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Thanks for your time. God bless you.
Thank you, Councillor Atwal. Thank you, everyone.
And please contact me, when you get time,
I will do, yes, indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Can we move to the agenda for Paribar 2040, a vision of legacy consultation? Tess, Randles.
Yeah, hello. Thank you, Councillor Atwal, and thank you everybody else for the opportunity to
can I put you on a hold for a bit? Who's controlling? I think the car. Maybe myself or some other people. We are feeling the volume is very low. Is something wrong technically or what?
I don't know, Councillor Atwal. Carl Randles had the same problem and he's had to put his headset in.
I know I see the taxis, but myself, I'm suffering, myself as well.
I'm picking it up. I have turned my microphone up and I'm not using my headset.
That's
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Can I request to everybody, please speak a bit loudly so everybody can hear.
Okay, maybe if everybody other than the person presenting turns their microphone off, that might help with any background noise that we can listen to. Okay.
Carry on, Tess. Carry on.
Shall I do testing 1 2 3? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
That's good. So now I've got 5 minutes, I understand, because what we would have liked is to have made a fuller presentation on the Paribar 2040 master plan. But my purpose today is to raise awareness of the master plan consultation, and that's my role within the team leading on this, and they sit within inclusive growth. As you know, we launched the master plan on the 15th of July. And the consultation is open to the 29th of September. And the document that we're asking people to view is the Paribar 2040, a vision for legacy. I'll just put some links in the chat as I'm speaking, hopefully the right ones, and just post that. So we might be able to have a look at those in a minute. So we've got 3 or 4 weeks left. We're really keen to ensure that as many people as possible have a chance to have a say to help shape the plans for Paribar over the next 20 years. Paribar is important. I'm coming here today because although we're talking about Paribar as in a distinct geographic sense for the master plan, there is a wide...
Sorry, correct us. Are you talking about the Perry-Barr ward or Perry-Barr constituency?
We're talking about, actually all the information is online. There is a distinct area that the master plan sits in. That's the primary area that we're focusing on, and there is a wider area of influence that goes beyond that. So
is that connected? Is the Handsworth Wood is included or not?
It touches upon the 3 wards of Handsworth Wood, Aston and Birchfield, which is why we want, you know, why we're communicating with the various councillors and why I'm attending here today. So it's important for people to have, you know, to have a say and know what the proposals are for the area. So in terms of our consultation, we've included a number of events, which are webinars, walk and talks, to which we are now adding, and it's hot off the press because the One Stop have just approved it. We're going to do some, have a presence in the One Stop shopping centre. And this has come at this point because COVID obviously has prevented us from having those face-to-face sessions previously. But those are the opportunities for people to come and talk to us, to ask questions and feedback. And I put in the chat there our website, and I'm particularly keen for people to click onto the story maps. I don't know, Leslie, if you're able to do so from your end and show people what it might look like. I don't know if it's possible for you to do that while I'm talking away, but there is a landing page on the Birmingham City Council website, and unlike any other consultations, we've tried something new through something called story maps. So you can interact with the area, you can drill in and see what the initial ideas, the themes are, and what we've come up with is focusing on 5 key areas. So all the information is on there, and you can feedback via an abridged survey on the interactive maps, or you can go to the usual Be Heard, which is also in that link, and feedback that way. And of course, you can also, there is also a link down there to a bespoke email, which is perrybar2040@birmingham.gov.uk, and that's our inbox. So since we haven't been able to make a presentation today, Councillor Atwal, I have suggested just offline with Leslie, because I know there is interest there, and there are people I recognise in the group attending, that if people have got questions once they've had a look at the proposals and they send them in to Leslie, Leslie has kindly offered to pull them together in one lot, so that we can then arrange a separate bespoke session over the coming 2 weeks or so, where we can make a proper presentation to anyone interested, and those questions that you're asking about the master plan and the future Perry-Barr, we can then discuss them further at that event. So I hope, do you like the idea? We're happy to do it. I mean, I think, you know, general thumbs up. So any feedback, good. I like that from the residents. Any feedback, please send it through to via Leslie, the councillor, so we can put it together and arrange this meeting. I can answer questions, but not in detail, obviously, because I can see Jan's got her hand up. Hi, Jan.
Yes, yeah.
Hi. I'd just like to say, I think it'd be really good if you could arrange a session, because the master plan area does include parts of Handsworth Wood Ward, particularly the part where I live. That's why I'm particularly interested. But I think because it only has a small part of Handsworth Wood Ward, it's very easy for people to ignore it from Handsworth Wood Ward, and I think it would be to the detriment of the overall master plan if we're not having input from the Handsworth Wood side of things. So I'd be very keen to take part in a special workshop. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Anybody else have any question, please? Yes, Helena.
It's not a question, it's just to say, yes, it's not just that it's Handsworth Wood. I mean, we all use Perry-Barr. It's part of our bigger environment. So, yeah, very interested.
Okay, that's really useful, and so I'll liaise with Leslie. So if you could send in your questions, and we'll set up an hour sometimes before the end of September. If we go just after, and because people can't make it, so be it. Although consultation does close on the 29th. Otherwise, we will put the drop past times once I've got them, and I'll be there at the shopping centre with colleagues, so you'll be able to pick up you know, some of the leaflets that we produced that have been sent all across Perry Barr, and ask us any questions, and view the document. We've got hard copy as well, so you can have a look at, and an abridged version of the questionnaire, so some interaction possible over the weekend. So
Anybody else have any question, please?
I can't see any more questions, Councillor Atwal.
Hold on, I think the Graham Benfield, he's trying to be getting. Is anybody can let him in?
Let who in, sorry?
Graham Benfield. Graham.
I've done that. I've let him in.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Welcome, Graham. Do you have any question?
There aren't any more questions in the chat box.
2040 plan?
Can I just add, Councillor Atwal, following this meeting, I'm going to send a little an emailer to Leslie to send out just to confirm some of the things I've said, and to send those links as well, so that people have got them at hand. I know she sent through something for me about 2 weeks ago, but no harm sending it again. Sorry, Leslie, I'm giving you loads of work to do. Apologies there.
Okay. Is anything you could help us to let us know? There is a lot of complaints I'm having, and we being criticized as a councillor and the city council concerning there is a lot of road works going on, you know, in Handsworth, especially, which is from the Scott Arm, and when we go to Old Bolswell Road, and there is a lot of traffic. I experienced myself, even I experienced this morning myself. I was in my board, so I came for the meeting now. And is anything you can suggest when that road work will be completed?
Yes, I can. I mean, roughly speaking. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm this is part of the next agenda, really. So I should defer to Giulietta. But the works are going to carry on in one way or another for several months now, probably to at least the end of this year, because there are multiple things going on. There's the A34 works, which are, you know, gradually diminishing, but there's quite a lot to do there. There's the work along the A34 corridor on the Sprint. And of course, the station is being built, but that's on one side. So there is a bit. I'm afraid there is still disruption for a few months yet, but it will diminish probably towards the end of this year. But we can look into it. I can look into the completion times, but I suspect it's probably early part of next year.
Yes, please kindly, can you send me the works program, please, in Handsworth, especially Handsworth border related area? I know from Perry Barr, the flyover, lot of things. I know it's not only Birmingham, it's a Sandwall, Walsall side, lot of road works going on, and we all affected with the delayed traffic. But if you let me know, especially from the Scott Arm, from the Junction 7, Scott Arm, Old Bolswell Road, which is coming to Handsworth. But the other thing is from the city center, when the people coming out, you know, and they try to find a shortcut coming from the Hockley flyover, Hampstead Road, then Handsworth Wood Road, then Old Hampstead Hill, Old Bolswell Road, through to the Rocky Lane turn right, or directly to the Scott Arm side. That causing a lot of, you know, the problem for the traffic. If the traffic management can do something onto it, provide some sort of a traffic rather than the whole the traffic from the city coming through to this route, or the works program, which is I can put, you know, onto my Facebook, or we have some WhatsApp group, and we have the others. And some people, we have a social site. I grew up in Handsworth. A lot of people, they putting the messages and their issues, which is I feel they are suffering. But the Handsworth is connected with the 6 ward, which is Handsworth Wood, the Holyhead, Handsworth, Westfield, Lowell, Soho, and Julie Court, or some other. So I mean, it's a mixed up. But the people, I understand for the local catchment, especially northwest area, and they're affected. If you can let us know about the work program and Ferrybar flyover, and it is which is the Scott Arm and the Supine Road from Scott Arm through to the Old Bolsall Road and Hampstead Hill, as I said, then I can let the residents to know. I know they can accuse again and again. I don't mind because they are suffering, but we try our best to resolve it.
Okay, can I come back with an answer? By the way, I'm not a traffic management expert. I'm communications and engagement, but I know I'm sort of
ask the person who is concerning. If you contact me, let me know, please. I think the lazily making a note, so we have to be take it. And the public at least need, we are not sitting as a councillor, we're trying our best to resolve the issues.
Okay, Councillor, well, there is a link that I can send you. That tells you all the works that are going on. It's the TDM's traffic demand. It's the stuff that Giulietta's talking about in a minute. It's a link that tells people exactly what's happening at what point. You go on it and it shows, it's got a map and gives you the detail of the traffic. I think that's the best thing to distribute to your constituents, because they'll be able to find out in real time what's happening. We also send out, not me, but the other team, a newsletter each week that sets out exactly what works are taking place along the A34 corridor. And if people aren't receiving that, they can. So let Giulietta or I know, or if you could feed us any emails where people want to know, we can provide an update through that newsletter. In terms of the Scott Arms, there is a border there between Birmingham and Sandwell. So sometimes the contractors and indeed Birmingham City Council, we don't always know what works are taking place outside of Birmingham. And we have been caught out at one stage where some works were taking place just around the Scott Arms as everything else was taking place. So we need
I'm aware of it. On the Scott Arm, it's at Sandbow, Walsall, and Birmingham. 3 council connected in one point.
It is a bit of a pinch point, isn't it? But what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the link, Councillor Atwal, and I'll also make sure that you're on the circulation list for that weekly update on the A34 improvement works, which will tell you exactly what's happening on a weekly basis. And I hope that will help.
Okay. The lastly, when we saying the Perry-Bar 2040, is this the other issue, including especially the waste being dumped? A lot of people dumping the waste. A lot of people, they like a cowboy builders or some other people, even local people. I don't, simply the people not coming outside, the dumping, in our ward there. It's the local people, by the lamppost, by the shops, wherever they find it, and. Is that kind of we are including in Perry-Bar 2040 to be make sure and our wards are free from that dumping rubbish, or even verge, the grass verge, parking. That's the biggest issue as well we have.
I'll pass your comments through to the team. Perry-Bar 2040 is an ambitious vision for how the area might be regenerated and improved, and of course that having a clean, healthy environment without rubbish is a key component, as is the maintenance of parkland, and indeed one of the things that the City Council is doing is trying to reduce the amount of cars being used. But parking on verges it's one of the everyday issues, and I'm not sure who to contact about that. But I will pass your comments on about the about PB 2040. And if you could look at the website, please, Councillor Atwal.
We will, but practically, I wanted you to make a note, take it back. This is some sort of consultation. And if anybody, my colleague, the guests, they can raise any. But if we're talking about 2040, it's approximately 19 years now. And how about, what is the provision we're going to be habit for the parking? Because the population is growing, and day by day, and we having a more, the people in, well, they're going out as well, more coming in, and the parking, the household, how many people are driving, they do have the car. And this is the problem, the grass bird or some other, and the driveway being blocked, and that kind of, what kind of provision or the policy, and we're going to be bring it in. Sorry for this, because this is something connected, because I have expertise, being a building design consultant or the architecture business. We know we need to be look into it. If we're building the houses, we're doing this and that, and then what is the provision for we're going to be provided, we're going to be have it for the parking.
There'll be I was hoping not to drill into the detail today, because there's a wider team that will answer those questions, and the parking will relate to the housing numbers and what the requirement is according to housing numbers and a lot of other things. So I'm not in a position to answer. I'm here simply, my purpose is to raise awareness of the consultation, but that's a sort of feedback that we need, Councillor Atwal, and actually there is a feedback form, and I would really highly recommend that feedback does translate into people going online and actually answering the questions that are within the feedback form and providing their comments, and that way we'll be able to collate all that information and be able to shape the plan.
It is the technology we're having these days, consultation online. With due respect, especially some people, either their problem language barrier, or they're elderly, they are unable, especially a lot of elderly people, rather than they can't text it, nothing, they're phoning me, okay, across the community, not a part of the community, and they're raising their concern. But next time I will ask Leslie to invite somebody who could answer what I'm asking you, the policy for the parking and the grass birds and the other, the rubbish dumping, and how we can stop this, how we can build up a better, nice, the environment we're having. So there is one thing is, John just messaged it, some rubbish based, you can, dispose of your waste in Halford Drive. My understanding that's closed in Perivar, and when they're going to reopen it, or there is any provision, around the area where the householder can take their waste.
I can check on that point, but I'm sure that other people could answer that better. Again, this is to do with the council services, so I'm not informed and cannot answer some of these questions. But I can seek to answer them. This is about getting people to feed into the consultation process and provide their views on the ambition for the area in the future, and of course, waste.
Okay, Tess. I think Helena raised the hand as well, and then Jan Kimber as well. Let me bring Helena first, then Jan Kimber.
I don't know what dates are. I do know the council are providing a sort of roving tip van that you can take your rubbish to, parks on the streets. It was parked in Hinstock last week and Rookery the week before, so maybe we could have that come into our area more. So it's getting very big. Maybe we need to reduce the number of cars that households have, but that's a bigger policy. The immediate I know that the council is now going to prosecute more than try and encourage. So hopefully there'll be more prosecutions for tipping, but we'll see if that works. But there is this van that goes round. Maybe we could request that it comes to our area.
Thank you. Can I bring Jan first, then the grant benefit?
Yeah,
Jan,
can I just ask,
Jan,
is there an agenda for this meeting? Because I feel it's kind of drifting into quite a few different subjects, which I thought actually were on the agenda a bit later on, but I may have got an old agenda. I don't know, Leslie, whether you're able to cut and paste the key items into the chat, because I'm sure a lot of the questions which Councillor Atwal asked, I was thinking were going to be covered by some other officers later on in the meeting, which might be more.
Hi, Jan. The agenda's in the chat, and those items are going to be covered by Julietta in item 5.
Right, I did think that. So whereabouts, sorry, Leslie, in the chat is the agenda?
Right at the beginning, at the start of the meeting, I put the agenda at the top.
Ah, right. I may not have seen that bit because I might have joined a bit later. Would it be inconvenient if you just put it in again? Because I know some other people joined a bit later on as well.
I will do it now, Jan.
Thank you very much. That might help get us moving. Thanks. Thank you.
Can I ask Graham Benfield, please, get your turn? Graham?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Okay. I don't know if I'm in agenda or out agenda. In terms of this business of the waste disposal, I think the city should look to getting rid of all the chronically misused recycling bins where they're in multi-occupied premises. Where I live, I do a daily check, as you know, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of recycling bins that are never emptied, but they're filled with all sorts of rubbish, and they're never emptied because the items aren't divided. So they're worse than useless. And it would be better to, it's always with rented properties, it would be better to get the landlords to provide a much bigger general purpose bin and just accept that everything's going to go into them, instead of this illusion that these places are being recycled, because they're not. They're chronically misused, and most of them have been there like that for years. So better to get rid of the recycling bins where they're not being used, and it's usually at rented properties of one kind or another, and get the landlords to provide a much bigger general purpose bin, which then will be.
Okay, I will bring these few items, on any other business, thanks for reading. We will discuss this in any other business. But if anybody have any questions to this, Randles, otherwise I will say thank you to Tess. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Would you mind, Councillor Atwal, if I stayed for the next item, because I'm in support of my colleague Julietta, because it crosses
That's
over.
Okay.
It crosses
That's okay.
over with some of my work. So if that's all right, can I stay for another 5 minutes?
Okay, hold on. Let me take it to my guest here to item number 5.
Thank you.
Barr Development. That's good. That's where we can raise, the parking, grass bed there. So you got a question from me, and the other you carry on with this one, item number 5. Yes,
Hi,
yes.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So for those who didn't meet me last time, my name is Julietta. I work for the Travel Demand Management team in Birmingham City Council, and I work with Tess on the Perry Barr regeneration project. So I'm here to give you an update on where we are on the wider Perry Barr regeneration programme. So I'm happy to report that at the moment, all the schemes are currently on schedule. So we'll be seeing some changes on the traffic management, and there'll be a couple of overnight closures towards the end of this month. You'll see with the A34 highways works, there's a lot of public realm construction going on just now. There will be an underpass closure towards the end of the month to carry out some work on the Birchfield Island, which will include pouring cement on the deck that was put in earlier. and we'll confirm that with dates later in the month once we know the exact date of when that's going to be. With regards to the stadium and residential scheme, everything is to schedule at the moment, luckily. And with regards to the station, they are currently working on cladding, so you should see some of that going on in around the area. With regards to the A34 sprint works, they are looking to do some traffic management changes coming up towards the end of this month, beginning of next, but we've not confirmed that as of yet, so we'll get the dates out as they are confirmed. I would like to point out that they are doing the shelter naming at the moment, so if anyone is interested, if you go to the website, you can put forward your suggestions for the names of the various shelters that are on the route. Later in this month, we're going to see the start of the Perry Barr bus interchange, which will see some traffic management come into play overnight on that. For those who use bus stops in and around one stop, for those, what's my place there? For those who use the bus stops outside the one stop, these will be relocated, and there's a list of affected buses that I can certainly send to you. But once we get the confirmation on the date that this is going to happen, I'll be able to come back with more information. We will be putting comms out ahead of the change, and there will be posters and signage in and around one stop alerting you to the location of the move stop of your particular bus. There will hopefully also be people from NX on site in and around the time to direct you to the relevant stops once that comes into play. With regards to some of the stuff that yourselves have been asking Tess, what I can confirm is with regards to like Wellington Road and Old Walsall Road and the kind of restrictions that are causing issues on these particular roads, these will ease up slightly at the end of this year, beginning of next, as the A34 highways works comes to an end. So travelling southbound, most of the restrictions will be lifted. However, unfortunately, because from travelling northbound, the issue is the traffic management closure at the station itself. So until that is completed, that will remain. We do investigate frequently on whether traffic management is needed in all the various schemes. So if there's anything that can be lifted, we do implement it as soon as possible. But unfortunately, with regards to the station, it's a safety concern to both the workers and the public, so it must remain at this moment until they come closer to the end of their works. So we'd always advise that everyone checks the traffic situation before leaving on your journey. Transport for West Midlands have an excellent website to help advise on when are better times to travel, what are the better routes, how you can avoid the traffic on these particular areas. And that's included in the information pack I sent round, so that you've always got this information to hand and you know when to get the updates sent to you. You can sign up for updates and make sure that you're always informed on what's happening in the area, and you can get all the information sent to you ahead of when they come into effect. So for example, the bus stop relocations and all that can be sent to you ahead of time if you sign up to the relevant updates. There was a question last time on the one-stop traffic lights, and unfortunately we can't change these at present, but they do get continually revised, and the traffic lights in general along the routes all get adjusted all the time to make sure that they are working to the optimised level. There's a dedicated traffic light management team that deal with this, so they're constantly monitoring what mitigations are needed along this route, along the whole corridor, to be honest, on what we can do to make life easier for yourselves. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's painful at times, but we're certainly over the halfway mark. So towards the end of this year, beginning of next, you will start to see things start to ease. What I would suggest is that you do plan ahead, as we have out in our messaging, to make sure that you do know when to avoid the peak times in the area, what routes to avoid, maybe the alternative modes of transport that could be used by yourselves in order to avoid sitting in traffic, that kind of thing. But at the moment, it is going to remain as it is currently. But any upcoming changes you can certainly get. We'll certainly put out the information, and we can direct you to the relevant places if anyone is unsure. But that is in general, in a nutshell, where we are with Perry Barr and the relevant schemes. So if anyone has any questions, certainly just let me know.
Okay, I will ask my guests to ask any question if they have. I did raised. I think the lady, she was listening what I raised about the traffic, about the waste and parking or grasswoods parking. So do anybody else have any question? John or Graham Benfield or Jane? I think that Jane raised the hand. Jane, come in, please.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the update. I've just put something in the chat actually. Was hoping someone might reply. How do we opt in to these Traffic Act updates?
So if I sent an information pack through on the very last slide. There's I
haven't received that, so I only joined through knowing about this from the Residents Association, so I didn't get anything.
All right, okay. So if you go, I mean, I'll put it in the chat after I come off this. Sorry, I can't have too many things open on my laptop or it crashes. Sure. What I'll do is I'll send you the link, and what you do is it's on the Transport for West Midlands website on the right hand side, because you're going to be directed directly to the Perry Barr regeneration page, which gives you all the information on anything that's happening in the area in terms of the works. And on the right hand side, there's a sign up for updates link, and then you just put in your information there. Regular bulletins go out to the residents and to anyone who signs up to these, so you know in advance what's coming and when to avoid. So it gives you things like overnight closures that are coming out, any changes to traffic management, like for instance changing from at some point in the near future the A34 Sprint work will be changing from where they have their traffic management to the inside lanes.
Okay, but you
so
can
it's like that, so that way you know in advance and you can plan around.
Right, but you can attach the link in the chat afterwards.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Right, and just the last comment, just about the temporary traffic lights that at the one-stop roundabout. Sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not working. I would have. I'm not talking about late at night when it would be sensible just to turn them off, but sometimes during peak times they are not working at all, and I can't believe that's a sensible thing to be doing.
I'll certainly feed that back, because I was unaware that we've had any stoppage in the actual traffic lights. So I'll certainly feed that back and come back next time with why that's happening, or if there's a specific reason, but I certainly don't know at the moment. But thanks for raising that. I'll take a note and make sure I come back to you with a response.
It's you finally get to the roundabout and you go, there's no traffic lights on, and that's not an infrequent occurrence.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I see the hand raised by the Harwans Chan. Harwans, can I bring you in, please? Harwans? Hello? Harwans, can you hear?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, yeah, I was at the last meeting, and I know, Councillor Atwal, you raised, the situation around the gridlock, in all those areas, and how it's taken people 2 hours to get from the Hockley flyover over to Perry Barr. There was a slight change because, there was a notice board, or a traffic management sign put up by Church Lane and Weddington Road, which diverted some of the traffic. So it did improve for a short while. So could we not have that happen again? Because now that sign's gone, we've got this congestion, like everybody's saying, and it's taken people, so many hours to do such a short journey. And the second question I wanted to ask, I think it was raised last time as well, in terms of all this traffic, all these cars are pumping out all this CO2. And obviously it must be impacting on the the air quality. And I think we did ask if a air test quality check could be done at the moment.
So regards to the first question, I can certainly look into why that was removed and come back to you and see where, you know, if there was a specific reason for its removal, if it was just moved to elsewhere in the network. With regards to pollution, I did check as to if we do checks on the pollution levels at this time, and we don't because it's considered temporary. So whilst there is an increase in pollution, it is considered temporary because it will go away once the works have been removed. So where we would do checks would be if it got removed, but we still thought there was a problem, you know, after all the works have been done and all the traffic has eased, then we would look at doing actual checks, because then it would go through the air quality monitoring system that's in place. There's a process for that. So if after the works have all been completed, we would then do, we would look at it then if we still thought there was a problem.
Yeah, sorry. In terms of temporary, this has been going on for, I don't know, at least 6 months now. So I don't see how that is temporary, and it's going to carry on, like you said, for another 6 months at least. So could they not do this test?
I can check, but I think it's not, because it's got to be within a certain period of time, but I can definitely double check and come back to you.
Okay then. Okay, thank you.
Is anybody else have any question, please? Graham?
So I'll just finish off. I do want to apologise. I know it's hard. I know that the traffic is bad, you know, on all levels. I do feel your pain. We're just, if you can just hang in there a little bit longer, we are coming to some freeing up of this traffic. Towards the end of this year, beginning of next, the A34 works will stop, and that will certainly help. Not as much as travelling northbound, but towards the beginning of next year, towards the middle, the station works will start to ease. So the traffic management there will come away, and you know what I mean, everything. We do have a clear end date in sight. So I know that's not a lot of comfort at this moment, but we have a definite end date in sight. So if we can just all hang on to that, we're past the halfway point. So we know you're being patient. We know it's unpleasant. We do thank you for your patience, but that's kind of all I wanted to say. But if you could just bear with us, we are trying to make sure that we do everything we can to make life a bit easier.
Okay. Again, if possible, if you could ask the traffic management if they can divert some of the traffic from the city center through to the partly A34 directly to the Scott Arm side to the Warsaw. I know that
I can certainly take that back, yeah.
Yeah, because they take a shortcut, you know, through to the Hempstead Road, Handsworth Wood Road. So that's causing a lot of problem. I know there is work going on, and work have to be done. If we don't do it, and all our road, you know, the people don't know the roads are rotten, so and so, no repair. If we're repairing and they moan about it, they're accusing us, no problem. But as long as we can provide a good service, as Harwan said, you know, the air quality and the other thing, traffic diversion. So please, as the Tess said, she will send us in the work program. At least we can let the public know when the work will be finished. So at least they should know that. But not in a dark, you know, it take a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. So if we know the work program, when it's going to be in, I know there is a bit, you know, week or 2 weeks delay, but yes, we need a work program when it's going to be finished. And what is involved?
I mean, I can certainly say with the work programme, on each of the scheme pages, there's the rough programme on there. So, for example, the A34 is scheduled to finish at the end of this year, beginning of next. The station is scheduled to finish around about May, if I remember correctly. But hopefully the traffic management will be lifted before then.
Sorry. Send us a link, we can look. But on a social media, which is I personally don't like the people they're doing, you know, they don't know their question, you know, they're just mixing up. But at least if we just have a statement on on that old Bolswell Road, which is from Handsworth Wood, from the Handsworth Wood, to the old Bolswell Road, when it's going to be end, the Rocky Lane, because on the Rocky Lane, that's our boundary. And again, the other part as well, which is connected to Handsworth Wood Road, or the station work, when it's going to be finished, a simple statement rather than the link. Lot of people, they are unable to open the link and go through, bit and pieces, and they get fed up. And again, they keep raising. I like to keep people in the light, what is happening, which work is going on, and where, when it's going to be finished.
Okay, certainly. I mean, the traffic, the page at Transport for West Midlands does give this kind of information, but what I'll do is I'll send out like a short kind of summary for yourself, so you know kind of broadly
Just
when things
like
are going to
small-
end.
Small statement.
I can do
A4
that,
size,
no problem.
A4 size or A5.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
No
you.
problem at all. Thank you.
Is anybody else have
that's it.
any question, please? If not, thank you very much for both of the ladies, and you provide us all the information, very useful. And thank you very much. God bless you. Can I go to the next item, which is the local plan, neighborhood planning? Leslie, or who can do it? I think the Neil Discosta was going to do it, and unfortunately he have other commitment, and he's not with us. But I can read it. The last draft of the Handsworth Wood Ward Plan, action plan, submitted by the Ann Wackett in March 20, have not been progressed yet. This is due to the need of the special board planning meeting that can be supported by the Neighbourhood Development and the Support Unit, who will be support councillor and their local leadership role and regard the coordinating the finishing of the plan. The action, therefore, is for a board planning meeting to be set up. So I think in the next meeting, and as I already requested to Leslie, and if he could ask, the Neil Discosta and join us, and he can let us know what is happening and how we can develop it.
Councillor Atwal, would you like a special additional meeting set up other than the one for the 9th of December? Or
I don't mind.
I think Neil's referring that we need a special meeting.
Better. We will have more time to discuss this plan, which is I'm very keen to see that, to implement it. And I like to see it with only one item in even 1 hour meeting, and we can do it. And that's a special meeting. You can send us a link with myself, all the officers, yourself, and Councillor Kunder, and then we will set up the meeting and let the local residents know who want to be join it.
Okay, so
okay with everybody, John and Graham Benfield, Jan, or other guests? Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we do need another meeting. It's a question of for another 3 weeks, get anywhere. The local plan and the various things within it. It's just being held up. I thought that HMOs, for example, were going to be a standing item. I mean, we've got various questions we're putting. There's been changes in the council to who's running that, and there's certain outstanding correspondence that's just not being replied to over quite a long period. I have written to the new, on behalf of Handsworth Wood residents, to the new chair of housing, and she's promised to get back to me, but it's on various serious things. And it is noted somewhere that yesterday morning, I woke up to find out that a very serious stabbing had taken place in the alleyway opposite to where I am. Somebody hurt. Now, we've been asking questions about the houses, the various houses that are HMOs, are exempted accommodation. We've got people coming and going from those. No idea who they are, what they are. So, I mean, one of the questions I have is, you know, either the victim or the perpetrator in any way connected with this, because we found that there are people being put into these properties and other properties around the ward who can be quite unstable themselves. They need support. Also, people are victims who need support. And we have no idea of the status of people. I haven't been out to meet these people because I can't do that. I'm shielding myself in the situation that we're in at the moment. So we're not making contact. We don't know who, but we hear that people are being put in who've come out of prison. We hear that there are young people who are vulnerable coming out of care, who are being housed in these places. Helena knows all about this in terms of the area that she's in. But, you know, these small houses here being made into 3-4 bedrooms, it's just, we have no information how they change. The landlords can do what they like. They don't have to get planning permission or anything. So that brings me on to this question of the 3 months, because people at the Residents Association meeting have said, look, this just is not on. We've said before that they should have we've asked for monthly meetings, but if not, the minimum 2 monthly. So it is essential that we look at this other meeting to be progressed. I would think that we ought to progress this in a month, actually, because we're looking at a specific thing. We've got all these things, as I've said, things arising like this has happened. We've had police coming around here who are looking at these things as well, so they're involved. And I suggest that we should involve the police in this as well, because they've got a lot of information. So if we can have police and the council involved in this, I think that we should do this, and in a month.
Thank you, John. I request to Leslie, can you arrange a meeting about in 4 weeks, say middle of October sometime, which is the Neil Discosta can be available, yourself and other relevant officer or consultant, so we can have this meeting only for this purpose, only one item, so we can discuss for an hour or hour and a quarter hour, whatever it is. So we will go through rather than we cutting the time. So need to lengthy discussion we can have to develop our goal.
Okay, I was just about to ask if I will email out to everybody on the contact list. My email address is on the bottom of the agenda. So if you know anybody else that wants to be added to the contact list so that they're involved in the process, and if you could let me know your preferences, afternoon, evening, but it's better to get more people involved.
Should be afternoon, please. Meeting should be afternoon.
Afternoon. Okay. Well, I'll email out everybody on the contact list, and like I said, if you know people that want to be on the contact list and involved in this process, if you could let them know, and we'll arrange a date for October.
Can you kindly check with Neil Discosta, because the main person have to be speak about it.
Okay.
And the Councillor Cooner. So I like both of them to be attend the meeting.
Okay. I will action that, Councillor Atwal.
Thank you. John, you want to say something?
Yes, quickly. Can I just check? Can we check what is most convenient for most people, please? Because some people can't make the afternoon and would prefer evening. But then I know there are problems for officers then, but we need to be clear on what's best in terms of involving people.
Let us check the other officer as well. But can I can see that hand raised by Harvans. Harvans, can I bring you in? Harvans? Harvans, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to, I wanted to also say that I think we should be having the Handsworth Wood Ward Forum meetings much more regular than 3 months, because the next meeting is 3 months away. And there's so many issues, especially around violence, traffic, HMOs. And I think we should be having them every month or 6 weekly. And the second thing is, a lot of people that I have spoken to, including our local triangle chat group, is that they can't do afternoon meetings. They're working. So if we are having Zoom meetings, can we not have them in the evening so that most people can attend them? You know, whether it's officers or residents, most people are working. Okay, you know, a lot of us, you know, are over, shall I say, retired or semi-retired. You know, so I think we should be looking at doing them in the evening personally, and that's what people have said to me, and that's why I'm raising it with you.
Thank you, Vance. We are unable, I don't mind personally, but because the resources from the city, and we are unable to hold it every month or even after 6 weeks. As earlier you heard it, and I request to Leslie to arrange a special meeting for the local plan, neighborhood planning, and concerning issues, especially on this item for 1 or 1.25 hours, whatever we can have it. So we will have a meeting in the middle of October. And then we're having a meeting in December. I don't know about the next meeting is in March or February. I don't know. I will have to check the diary. Yes, we will try our best as much as meeting we can do it, but our hands are tied because the resources, officers, we have to be friendly.
Sorry, I'm not quite clear on that. You know, why officers can't do evening meetings? You know, why can't we have forum meetings, you know, in the evening? You know, you people are working from home, so why can't we do evening meetings?
Or once the evening and the daytime, I have to check with the officer that I personally, we have to check with the officer. I'm saying how many meetings. We can't have a meeting every month. I know the young thoroughly understand the system, and only so many meetings we are allowed to hold by the city because we need the resources, you know, to run the meeting.
Okay.
So let me check it. Yeah. And as I said, you know, yes, the meeting already without, you know, when it comes, can we have another meeting in October? So then we're having a meeting in December. After December meeting, we will check that how many meetings we have, how many we can do it in coming next year.
Right. So, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. Perhaps you can just let us know how many meetings, you know, the forum can have in a year. And also, could you clarify why, would you be able to share that, why Councillor Kuna couldn't come today? Because it's, you know, it's already booked in the diary for quite a while.
Well, I can't say anything. I seen her apologize, as I think, my understanding, she was taking her daughter to university.
Right.
She sent the apology. Near Discosta officer, you know, the leading person for Barr constituency, and he sent the apology. I can't do nothing.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Herman. Okay. Is anybody else have any other question? If not, just Helena.
Just very quickly to follow up on what Graham was saying, if it's the ward plan, can we have somebody from waste management there as well? I have contacted them about the very issue that Graham was talking about. I've also contacted the landlords, and to nobody's surprise, no response. But if somebody could be there that we can actually ask about waste management, especially.
Okay, Leslie, can you please make a note? Try to find somebody from there, but I want somebody senior officer, not a junior, could say that, yes, I will take it back there, ask my senior, come back. Now, I want somebody senior person who can answer tenant there. Because we are fed up and we're working hard. Local residents are suffering and we being accused, but which is I support the residents because they're suffering and they're the rate payer. And they deserve better cleanliness, and they deserve all the services, you know, and they're looking for it. And especially from there, there's a time to time the waste collections are missing. You know, so not in our board, I seen it. I did raise in our group meeting Monday, which is the labor group meeting. I did raise it, and a lot of other boards are similarity. And I will come back on these things in any other urgent business. But let us finish this one. Let me bring the item number 7, Commonwealth Games, which is again, is anybody, any officer from there to say something?
No, Councillor Atwal. Neil's put the links in the agenda for the Commonwealth Games Fund.
I think these are just, I've seen these, you know, like myself, you know, these are the leaflets are, everybody received it. You can see these, and it has been sent, circulated. So these are just, I can read it, one of the celebration community, which
There's
is
there's the link for the actual, you know, the Celebrating Communities Fund, and there's also a link to Birmingham Community Matters, and that's for groups who need help in putting applications together.
Yeah, just simply celebrate the Commonwealth Games 2022 your way. Apply today and receive the grant from 100 to 10,000 through to the Celebrating Community Fund. You may like to discuss your idea with your local councillors. If you come, which is I can take it to the Neil Discosta, and how, or the Leslie can do it, how we can take it forward. If anybody need to apply for it, and we have to go through to the link as been told by the Leslie through to their apply for it. Find out more information how to apply. There is a birmingham.gov.uk/celebrating-community. So you can go through to there to find all the links, all the what is happening there. So please do so. Can we move on to any other urgent business? Let me start with it. It's for the months, even early this year. I checked and the people sending me the email. I won't name the people, and that's good thing. They send the email. By send any issues, if they send us an email, they have either myself, they send an email, or they send an email to Councillor Kunar or directly to the department. And they have, the sender have the record, they send an email. For example, if somebody send an email to me with the issue, then I forward with my comment to the concerning department, the inquiry department. And I have a record, I received it, then I forward with my comment to the relevant department. Then they look into it and come back at the issues, it been resolved or not, if not, why. Then I send it back to the sender who sent it to me. So we got in a loop all the information. On social media, somebody type it, this and this. And on a social media, quite a bit of majorities are not related to in Handsworth Wood. And I did post the map of Handsworth Wood within the boundary where myself and Councillor Kuhn are responsible. But any outside, we can't. That's a local, their councillor is responsible to look into it. And secondly, in our ward, I think Graham raised some recycling. I'm sure he's here listening. The recycling, I identified 3. One is on Cooper Road and Everest Road that disappear. Somehow, I don't want to mention, I know what happened. But the second one on Beecham Avenue, right front of the fish and chips. And a lady seen who was dumping the black bag, some rubbish outside, not in the bin, it is outside. The bin I'm talking about, recycling bin for somebody collecting the clothing bank. And this is their business. I written to them, no answer at all. Let me go back to when that lady sent me that, I sent this link to the city and that person been prosecuted, okay? But I knock the door to fashion chefs and ask them, oh, do you know about the bin? I don't know. Somebody was working here. They, ask them to give a consent to put the bin. But it's a responsible who's running the business, and they're responsible because the bins are on a private land. I will check maybe early next week. Either do they need planning for it or not? Maybe they need a planning, may not be. Second, bin are on Atwal Road, outside one of the shop, which is, I think, the shop been converted into the office. It is the, I think, accountant office. And I spoken to the person, and he said in Wolverhampton. Few time I send him a photograph with the rubbish on, and he said, when you see the rubbish there, give us a ring, we will pick it up. I said, no, you running the business. You move away. We won't allow in Handsworth any clothing banks. The banks there, because that's causing a lot of problem. Then I tell them my understanding, which is I raised in labor group meeting Monday. Other people said they are suffering some other, especially in Wood End, and took them, the long time to get it removed. These shopkeepers, they charging them some sort of rent, not free of charge. I've been told. I don't have any receipt, any proof, but I've been told we are paying the rent to them. And they said, yes. So we have a, the consent from the people running the business outside. So I'm taking this with the city, the legal department, or through the enforcement, how we can get them to when removed. Please kindly, the guests, speak to the other residents. If they have similar any issues there, please email us. I'm committed to work. I like to commit it. If anybody want to see me, please let me know. My phone number or the email is there. Phone number is the public. Please call me or come and see. And I do go and see, especially elderly people, disabled people, or some single mothers. Those can't go away and can't come to see somebody with the children. So I try my best to help as a human, not as a counselor, as a human. Yes, I'm a counselor, but I like to help. To help you, I need your help. The people could criticize, that's good, welcome, but let us work together. Please. Is anybody want to ask or raise anything, any other urgent business, please? If not, thank you very much for the meeting. As I said, according to this, the already arranged meeting 9th of December, but we, as agreed, we will arrange a meeting subject to availability the officers, or then middle of October we will have another meeting. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very. Yes, John.
No, I'm just saying yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your timing. Thank you for listening to me. Really very passionate to see my board top of the other boards. I like to do that, and I need your help. I'm in this area about 53 years, so I love the area. I like it. I was helping around there even before I become a counselor, and I love it. And 4 or 5 days I'm in my board seat. So whenever you want to see me, please let me know, and I will meet. And I try my best to resolve the issues, which is in my hand. Thank you very much. God bless you, and good afternoon, late afternoon. Thank you very much for everybody. Thanks for the officer. Thanks for Leslie and the Carl who manage all the voices and the nice picture of John Tarot. Thank you, John.
Bye.
Thanks for everybody again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.